True.
Well,
That's
ONIC
a
is
loophole.
just monopolizing everything, but let's see, man. They are also on second pick again here. You can see the Angela and Mathilda still traded around, and ONIC is just unwilling to let go of that Paramis.
Yes, let's welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, to the drafting phase of game number 2. And it turns out they're not changing a single thing from the side of GEEK. I'm wondering if they're going to still commit onto the Valentina first pick here.
Yep, the Rafaela should be the next option. I would understand why they picked the Valentina. It's an boy special, but it can be countered as we've seen. The Gord is the traditional lane counter to the Valentina, but it still is a pretty good pick. You know, you don't want to give it to ONIC as well.
Still Valen. This is what I always see from GEEK as well, man. They always use the same pattern over and over. Micro adjustments is the key.
Personally,
Fred Rafa.
Oh my god.
Personally, I do feel the Valentina can be pretty good here. But here's the thing, you kind of want to establish a very good early control. Picking up the Claude here kind of makes it so that the Claude can be played a weak side. But again, as we saw previously, as long as the Rafa is there, you kind of can't ignore the gold lead because it's going to get punished very heavily.
And there's a lot of combos with it. You still have the Bruno. Bruno Rafa still pretty good. Bruno is decent versus this Akai. But what the Claude gives you is the ability to defeat all the marksmen in the late game.
What about Irital?
Irital is also pretty good. Like I said, any marksman at this point is pretty good. But what the Claude gives is at least a win condition versus the Rafa as well as the Irital. Because what you have damage in the late game.
But we've seen, though, in the late game, the Claude can do a lot more damage. It shreds, but at the same time, in a 1v1 duel against the Irital, the crit burst-heavy nature of the heavy crossbow does make the 1v1 slightly in favor of the Irital, I think, because we've seen it with multiple times, especially in this matchup between these two teams. And the Irital always becomes a bigger problem due to the mobility as well.
Yeah, theoretically, the other benefit of Claude is that, apart from the other marksmen, the Claude is a hero that can go with the next laner, which is perfect because they ban the Lapu-Lapu. The idea for Lapu, Terizla, your Yuzhong, you go to the backlines to eliminate the marksman, right? If you have the Claude with you, now you have extra damage.
Yeah, honestly, looking at the draft right now, I'm also looking at his Claude and I'm wondering, are they being too honest or is this really their win condition? Because I kind of feel like having the Claude, you have multiple ways to win. Team fight, sure, you're going to be pretty strong, but if ONIC is sleeping towards the game, it's like, oh, we're too focused on the Lord or etc., we can see Marky doing his own thing, getting a lot of structures, and then making sure that he equalizes the goal. So I kind of feel like GEEK this time approaching the draft with a lot of ways to attack ONIC. And I kind of like it, but at the same time, it's tricky and honest at the same time. That's what I'm trying to say.
I want to go for a more far-fetched possibility that with the Claude being picked up here from GEEK fam, they could even, in the late stage of the game, when there's nothing else that they can do, they can even look for something like a backdoor or a split push.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I say, exactly what CW did, right? Or what LaFell said just yesterday, I believe. Yeah, again, ONIC versus GEEK in the upper brackets, that's what we saw. The Claude is so dynamic because of that maneuverability, the mobility in and out of team fights, in and out of lane, getting gold as well. You're so creative with it. It's only now that you have to be a little bit more creative because you can no longer use that blazing duet in lane. That's why against bully laners like the Irital, especially when comboed in against the Raph, and now even a Gord, you're really going to have to find a proper space. You need to be able to find that weak link, that hole in this ONIC game plan.
Yuzhong as well as Cho looks good for GEEK fam.
I really want to use Zong here. I feel like the Yuzhong can make sure that the Gord does not feel comfortable and the Irital cannot move forward, has to move backwards.
But I think, is this not the trap that is being set by ONIC? Forcing Yuzhong being picked up here, because these are the choices that they went for in the ban in the drafting phase, Lapu-Lapu and Khalid, and then they try to counter the Yuzhong in lane.
Well, if they want to go counter the Yuzhong, there's still options available. But I think that idea of the dive along with the Claude, that's an idea that ONIC is very aware of. And the Paquito is still a very solid option, but it doesn't have the same AoE presence like the Raging Sandstorm, the Bravest Fighter from the Lapu-Lapu and the Khalid. So ONIC can still use the maneuverability and just make sure that the spacing is paid attention to. That will mean that GEEK will struggle to really find combos.
Yep. Terizla sounds good for ONIC, or even Uranus actually, so that they can really punish this Akai. Like win all those neutral objectives. They have strong front to back if that is the case. So they have a choice between Terizla and Uranus this time.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking French and XP. The Lancelot was banned last game. They can go for the Lancelot pick here and have more poke.
Ruby, Paquito, Akai, do you want to play Lancelot in that case? Well, if you're Kyrie,
Dude, exactly. I was about to say, like,
doesn't care.
usually, no. In any circumstance, you do not want that. And then they'll go, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right, Wolf. It's a bit too risky for the lads, even for Kyrie. We'll go for the Terizla.
And again, looking at ONIC draft, their control in the river is going to be very, very strong, right? The team fight capabilities is going to be amazing. In this game, if GEEK really wants to make a difference, I got to say, the Paquito has to be the one attacking the backlines and making sure that every single kind of damage coming out from ONIC is going to be disrupted. I really don't care even if the Paquito dies, as long as the backline doesn't have an easy time, it's going to be looking good for GEEK fam.
Final expectations, Wolf.
Yeah, I think ONIC has a more easy track to execute, I would say. So they will take this, I think.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Wolf. Thank you, LaFell. We'll see you after this game. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to focus on this second game. Will GEEK fam be able to come back from this 1-0, force yet another series, another eye-to-eye with ONIC? That's going to be the question as we'll welcome you to the Land of Dawn, ladies and gentlemen, for game number 2, ONIC and GEEK fam.
Have to see if ONIC can really find the same kind of success. Can GEEK make the adjustment to really throw a wrench in this tempo playstyle of ONIC? All begins in the lane, so we'll have to take a look at the battle spells as well. 2 sprints on GEEK, probably trying to outmaneuver and match up to the bit of that Raphael movement speed boost.
And now it comes down to the same problems for both these two teams, and we'll see if ONIC, they can win the neutral objective battle again, or will GEEK fam actually win it out with those small micro adjustments in that Claude in the gold lane. Rashi emblems by Dunia Games.
We have an Inspire by Sans, because he uses a Mystic Projectile not only to engage, but also to scout out and deter GEEK fam from moving in. The fact that the bounce happens on that skill, it throws you off tempo, but at the same time, it takes longer to quote-unquote finish its animation. So it actually is a great zoning tool, especially in a big fight where you want the backline of GEEK fam to just be a bit more nervous, opening them up to possibilities.
All right, let's see. The main change here is with the Irritel and Keyboy on the... Oh, wait a minute. Boy, what is he doing?
Just some poke. Just a bit of poke up top there, rotating around. But again, this is the problem for them all throughout, even game number 1. The sustain in that gold lane. It's never a weak side when you have a Rafaela.
Even on the side of GEEK fam, you see that they have a lot more emphasis in the mid lane right here. Like we said earlier, it is a bit of a countered matchup. The wave clear from Gord is just so oppressive. So Beloy is moving there a bit more. But I think the real big fights are going to start from the jungle, the jungle control here. Which jungle can really start being more aggressive first and maybe gank and impact the lanes. And in the early stage of the game, before level 4, it is Kyrie on the Fedrin, but now that it's level 4, maybe he can go for the heavy spin play before before the turtle is actually contested.
That's going to be the main factor here, because both of these junglers are at level 4. So we'll see the setup difference coming in from both of these teams. There you go.
Some good damage. The assassination from Nile, but the Brazer's Wrath connects as well. As a 1-for-1, Luke diving deep into enemy territory. Kyrie now with the help of the penalty zone from Boots. And 1v1, it's still him who wins it out, even despite a heavy spin. And now Beloy is caught, forced to flicker out. Luke gets a proper knockout strike to disengage the rest of his team from that skirmish.
That's a 1-for-1 trade in favor of ONIC, because they pick up the turtle. In addition to that, that's an outcome that we expected here. Nile on the Kai.
I want to play from Kyrie though. He reads that the heavy spin is coming. He dashes out of the pit to avoid getting pinned down, securing the turtle quite easily. Man, that kind of foresight is what makes ONIC so difficult to deal with. It seems like they are always one step ahead. Now, like game 1, the tempo is shifting in their favor, and Beloyski has been unable to really find a big value pickoff.
Not yet. It's tough, right? Because in the gold lane, it feels like ONIC has a little bit more to say. Beloyski misses that chance to go in. And then it feels like in the EXP lane, it looks like ONIC, Boots is having a fun time as well, and in the jungle it looks like Kyrie's winning it all out.
Nile though already invading here with the help of Luke. As the red tree finds it, but a penalty zone locks him down. A good heavy spin that disengages. Luke is able to dash away. Boots now there to capitalize on a good taunt knock-up from Kyrie as ONIC takes the lead again in the stat line. Another good stun to stop a boy from clearing this wave and to get Kyrie some good space.
What do you do? What do you do if you were GEEK at this point? not having a proper setup on all 3 lanes. Jungle losing as well. Arashi.
But at this point, it's also a bit of an outplay situation here, because earlier Baloyski was trying to find that pickup on Kyrie, but he dodges it yet again. It's like he just knows. And now with Paquito falling behind like this, I'm quite concerned as well, because no one's going to be diving in the back line unless Marky.
Oh, he saved the heavy crossbow all the way to the end. It might be an outplay. One more hit. A fadeaway. Keyboy again. The executor. The assassin, but on a healer.
The X Factor Keyboy. MVP all throughout, and he's able to again perform on a hero that we don't necessarily find himself on. And they're back again with a beautiful setup on the next neutral objective.
This time Niall has a good spot, but Battle Zone gets popped in, and again the combo prevents GEEK from even stepping in the vicinity. Kyrie with a taunt, Baloyski with his health bar just drained out.
This is looking like a very dangerous situation, man. GEEK fam, with how flustered they are, how forced they are to actually move into these objectives without the man advantage, without the wave advantage. They're coming in rushed and together, and you saw earlier, Sans just lands yet another huge combo. And if they really want to come out on top in these fights, they cannot do that. Of course, Luke, the main flanker for GEEK fam, is already 1 kill down. He needs to try and make a play maybe, and that's what he's doing in the bot side.
GEEK fam have to pull an Arashi. Whoa. You heard his voice. It's a bit scrappy. GEEK fam needs to look for a proper scrap here against ONIC. They need to make it weird like this. I'm offended, but no, of course it's not. CW, unkillable, just jumps out like it's nothing.
It's a similar story to what we saw in game number 1. That's the exact thing that they want to look for, yet ONIC always deny that opportunity from happening. Whether it be from Keyboy's healing, whether it be from the FOTO item or photo, as you call it. Every time GEEK fam wants to look for opportunities to make things uneven in these team fights, make it scrappy, look for pickoffs, ONIC always have a way to deny it away.
Gotta give credit to Keyboy as well though, because his mana management is so good. Look at his item. He does not have the Enchanted Talisman. He only has the Flash of the Oasis, and that's the only thing he has, but now he's getting jumped on.
Baptism connecting and finally... No way! Again! Kyrie with a taunt now. Keyboy with a bait. It's a big heavy spin from Niall, but it's a Mystic Gush even bigger. Kyrie now into the front. It's a flicker forward from Keyboy. Niall gets slowed and now taken out as a 3-man Baptism. A boy versus 2. That's the passive from Keyboy, getting a bit more damage. A boy needs to look for an outplay here. That's a splash again, but CW will be able to just pick up a double. When you look for a scrappy team fight, ONIC says we can win it anyways. Luke, 2 dashes. What he needs, he jumps, he gets one, but he misses another. Now it's an outplay. Luke has been normalized. Yesterday's play was nothing but a fluke in the face of ONIC.
They just made him look like an amateur, like a ranked game player. They dodge everything, they bait him out. CW knows that he has a heavy crossbow available, dodges out of it, and Luke was just caught out there, high and dry, nothing to do. And once again, the denial. Niall can't do anything.
Absolutely
Denial.
nothing. Denialed?
Denial, get it?
I love it. 10 out of 10,
man.
Arashi.
10 out of 10, Arashi.
We appreciate you.
10 out of 10 red trees as well from Kyrie so far. That one right there went to Niall. That was Niall still having that red tree, but what the heck is going on? It almost seems like ONIC have regained their Season 11 form. They are untouchable.
Does GEEK fam want to go for a different approach maybe this time around? Sure, they've been looking for pickoffs, but for the amount of times that they failed, they went on the same person. They went onto Keyboy. And over, time and time again, he has been able to outplay the situation. Is there a way for them to go for a different approach?
I think the only real play that stands out is maybe some macro-heavy splitting done by Luke. Because if he doesn't go in, they can't really make him commit. But look at his play!
The turrets mean nothing, not to ONIC. Niall with a 2-man heavy spin, but what is a heavy spin to no follow-up? I'm offended, bringing boots back under the turret right now. The Appraiser's Wrath doesn't connect. The boy misses the Baptism and now gets gunned down. But Marquet with a blazing duet, it's healed again! The Mystic Gush, everything you throw at ONIC, ONIC throws at you again, 2 times. Fold.
6,000 gold lead in the 8th minute already in that particular skirmish. That was a 2-0 trade. And ONIC, they're taking down the structures, and the structures are falling like flies. ONIC have completely taken this entire game of Mobile Legends, rewritten the code, and there doesn't look like anyone is here to stop them.
I don't think team fighting skirmishes can be won by GEEK Fam at this point. The goal disparity is just way too big. And if you notice, it's not like GEEK Fam has not been able to find any real good engagements. Beloy and Nile has landed massive ultimates, the I'm Offended, as well as the heavy spins. But while that was happening, look at how ONIC is posturing. Boots and Suns just stand there menacingly and say, you want to jump in on this? You can do that. It's going to be a big Mystic Gush combo or a huge penalty zone, and we're going to wipe you out. That deterrent is just so difficult for GEEK Fam to deal with right now. I think macro play is the only thing they have, but they're just outmaneuvered.
Now's the setup. We're going to see the Lord dance here coming in from both of his teams with Kyrie at level 12, Nile at level 11. Either or, ONIC has way bigger of an advantage in this particular skirmish. Nile, I don't think he's able to force this out, but I like what GEEK Fam is doing. They understand this, and they're looking for a trade, a macro play, something that they can put in their pocket, which is that push in the top side.
Something is definitely better than nothing. But with the Lord coming up here, ONIC can still equalize in the lost turret department, and they can even go for a bit more with a penalty zone, with tools to just crowd control, with Boots maybe walking into a trap.
I'm Offended connecting onto Boots. If he survives this, that will not happen. But if he survives, that would be cool, right? I mean, ONIC have survived every single skirmish. But unfortunately, in the mid lane, Kyrie will just pick up a free tier 2. In the mid lane, they're pushing in the bottom, so even though they got a kill, the setup is still for ONIC.
It looks bad. It looks bleak for GEEK Fam right now, but does this not look like they're setting up for a backdoor or a split push strategy for Marky to go in?
That's the only thing they can do. But for ONIC, they have multiple frontliners, so they can send someone to try and stop the push, or they can just go for a fight and make it a bit of a base race. With the Lord coming in, I don't think Luke can really match up to the pushing speed, but they will send Boots back, so the penalty zone deterrent is now no longer in the picture. This could be an opportunity for GEEK Fam, unless...
Beloy's Conceal just got cancelled earlier. Holy Baptism baiting out the heavy spin. Beloyski, oh, that's an I'm Offended only onto the cannon minion, and it actually procs the sentry, the turret there. And now it's the turret in the mid lane, tier 2, just taken out without minions.
That's the first Lord as well, and Luke tries to replicate the same kind of success, but it's gonna cost him.
He survives for a bit, but not for long. The heavy crossbow does that much damage through the shielding. It pierces through.
Desperation, just the stench of desperation all over GEEK Fam. And it's only been 11 minutes, yet they're resorting to this sort of strategy and this sort of gameplay. Sacrificing Luke, looking for structures, trying to set up for what appears to be a Hail Mary play. But ONIC, despite all that thrown at them, it doesn't matter. They don't care. They're confident enough to actually go this in a conventional way.
They're still respecting GEEK Fam and their defensive abilities though. Usually we see that ONIC, especially with an 8k gold lead, they can make plays to just dive in and just destroy teams in their own bases. But they know that GEEK Fam, they've been here before. This is where they're just scheming, waiting for a chance in the shadows to try and make something happen.
And now it's, what, just ONIC controlling everything. What do GEEK even do? They look for a split push up top. Luke is getting some good farm, but for Marky, he is the weapon they need to get online right now. But unfortunately, he is 3 levels down against CW. I'm only curious as to see how much gold CW is ahead by.
Me too. I want to know how far behind he is. I want to know I want to see the items.
I guess we have to see and wait for the gold chart by UBS Gold. If it does show up, now with the Lord spawning, see the movements from ONIC here, putting 3 on top this time, attempting to just try and cut the wave, maybe deny the push before it even begins. They're rotating now. I think Luke is gonna go for broke.
Let's see if he can do it. He's on the base turret already, and ONIC have no response to it. Keyboy's finally now recalling, but ONIC here, they're actually not recalling. They've canceled it out. That's an I'm Offended onto Keyboy right now, but he still has the flicker. Goes in for the baptism, saves the flicker. Luke is still on the top side right now, looking to play, but Beloyski gets melted down before anything can happen, and there are no more minions up top. ONIC have gone for a risky play. They have left the top side, and now, only now, do they send Sans back to clear it. Luke in the mid lane trying to be a nuisance. And ONIC are still holding on to the Lord. Nile's only a level behind, and Kyrie's already holding on to it. Nile jumps in with a good knockup. Sans has cleared up top lane. Kyrie jumps to the taunt and a penalty zone from Boots. It's CW going godlike as Marky jumps into the lazy duet. Now Luke onto CW. Should be able to take him down. A good shutdown, but Niall now running away. A flicker forward from Sans as Niall should fall. Sans picks up a killing spree. What looked good has ended up disastrous for GEEK Fam.
Fortunately for GEEK Fam, they're able to find CW though, so the pushing power is going to be a bit more limited. But with this next Lord right here, ONIC, there's just a moment where if they want to play this early game style, they want to go for the end. Base start has been taken for GEEK Fam. That's a great advantage, a bit blessing in this, a silver lining for them. But now ONIC will definitely go for a decisive play. And if you take a look at the items, it's full aggression coming in from CW, and he's ahead by 3,500 gold. With the GDS, he has maneuverability, and with the Lord already in their hands, there's no chance for GEEK Fam to force him into close quarters battle.
A small loophole that I see is CW. Oh no!
What you see is Beloyski getting melted down, Eterna. ONIC aren't even using the sideways. They don't care. They'll go straight at that base turret in the mid lane, take it down, and then recall. And then now Luke has to be careful. He's still going for it. He might actually lose his life now. That's CW with a heavy crossbow chasing Luke down. That's some damage. Pop down. The knockout strike comes out. The GEEK Fam sticker emote comes out. But he will not come out alive from this trade.
He doesn't. He doesn't. He's able to find a little bit of time, maybe for GEEK Fam. But other than that, he was even unable to get that turret in the bottom side of the map, get that inhibitor turret for his team. And now ONIC with a man up. They're looking for a little bit more pressure into GEEK Fam. The one thing that I really wanted to point out was CW has yet to buy a 1.
Yep.
So that's something that GEEK Fam can exploit, but it's a shot in the dark, but it's the only shot they got.
It's also holy healing to help that, right? You don't need to win in nature when your HP doesn't even go low. Marky's physical damage right now, it's still not at that level.
Why? Because he already has DHS, he has Golden Staff as well.
Rafaela
I think he has a Corrosion.
I think it's only one item away from having a full inventory slot. But yes, there's all more utility built into it. And again, it's just not the same kind of crit, the same kind of burst. With Luke gone earlier, ONIC has been able to get the bottom side base turret as well. And now, with them locked in the base like this, Luke can't find a window to actually go out.
That's an I'm offended onto Keyboy, but he still gets out. He gets a baptism as well. On the last possible pixel of that baptism, he finds Beloyski. A proactive move by Beloy, and you will not believe the outcome of it.
Man, the aggressive play from ONIC continues, and Sans has a Winter Truncheon. Fully expected to do something absolutely crazy, and now they go in.
Nothing crazy, everything just by the books. They go in for the first person they see. It's a penalty zone. That will be utilized to melt a boy down. 2 members down. Niall jumps in with a heavy spin. That's Marky with a blazing duet to the back line, but it doesn't melt anyone down. The holy healing provides enough sustain. Sans doesn't even go for the kill. He just recalls in the face of danger, in the face of the Marquee. The solution in this game has to run past his base, across, and make a big lap before Beloy now respawns in. That's a baptism not connecting. Luke, knockout strike, but one more shot should deal with him here. They're chasing for him. Luke is buying a lot of time. ONIC with a 9,000 gold lead. Now a holy healing. Luke, can he make a miracle play to defend? Sans, that's a stun, not connecting, but the burn does connect. That's a slow. Luke, still magical, as always. But magic will only get you so far against ONIC.
He bought a lot of time, but even despite all that, it's still ONIC with a better setup on the next neutral objective. And ladies and gentlemen, 18 minutes of this game, a 10k gold lead for ONIC. And this is going to be yet another free Lord for ONIC. What is GEEK Fam planning here? A boy posturing in that area? What is he looking for?
I don't think they're planning too far ahead, man. They're grasping at straws here. Anything that can keep them in the game. That play from Luke bought them some time, but with the Lord coming back in, if ONIC makes this a 3-wave push, I'm not sure if GEEK Fam can withstand the Lord, clear it in time while taking the damage coming in from ONIC. Because especially for Sans, if he puts the zone down, the Mystic Field down, there's damage coming out constantly without him required to be in the vicinity for any kind of strike back.
They're trying though. Arashi Miracle, they're trying.
His flank.
Beloyski a boy, they're going for a flank.
This is a big gameplay. Beloyski with Imofed and CW able to dash away right now with a Purify as well. He gets out, he buys the Immortality. While in the midst, that's a Mystic Gush with an off angle from a boy. They bought enough time for the lore right now. They're crashing in, but Boots just penalty zones in. That's a Mystic Gush getting rid of Beloyski's HP bar. Even in the front, it's going to be Luke, the frontliner. The guy who can distract. Melted down. A killing spree for Taewen. Now it's a blazing duet only connecting onto Kyrie, who's going to be there, who just takes it in with a taunt, with a baptism. Marky will be taken out, and ONIC will secure another dominant game.
2-0, ladies and gentlemen, the Sky Kings, they are angry. They are looking fierce, they are looking solid, they are looking unstoppable.
Jeez.
But remember, this was a rematch. This is a rematch of the upper bracket finals. And if I'm not mistaken, it was ONIC leading it, right? At match points?
Yep, 2-0.
So this is, we're close to that point, but GEEK fam were still able to come back.
Yeah, it was a reverse sweep
So anything can
scenario.
happen.
So this is not over just yet. But man, that second game definitely was a slight bit closer. So you do get the feeling that GEEK fam, they are learning, they are adapting, and this is what they do best. The longer the game goes, the more solutions they can potentially find.
The solution, the marquee in this game, unfortunately was not able to find it. ONIC just threw a big stomp to shut down the first 2 games, and maybe even the morale, the mental. That's the big question here coming into game number 3. How do GEEK fam answer?
I don't, for no particular reason at all, I want to ask Wolf.
Okay, no particular reason.
No particular reason.
Maybe because I'm the guest analyst here,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's valid. That's
Well,
valid.
I think that the Akai might be a direction that they should not be going to, because back-to-back games we saw that they were shut down. Even in their series against BTR, it was also shut down. Maybe this is the time that they give up on that strategy. Valentina, valid strategy, I would say. It's always a 50-50 between the pickup of the Raphael and the Valentina, but I don't want to give the Valentina to ONIC because they are so good at it. Sense is so good at that hero. I think it's just the Akai that they need to kind of change in the early stages of the draft.